Okay, so here is Richard, and we're basically seeing whether he's gonna get killed, because we don't want him to suffocate. And I always wanted him to die natural, but if he's gonna suffocate, then it's better we give him the death juice. So he's actually doing better. You can see his breathing is kind of forced. I don't know if you could tell, but it was a lot worse earlier on. He was breathing with his mouth open, and he was looking like we should euthanize him immediately to get him not in that kind of pain. And, well, then we found out he has heart arrhythmia, and so his heart would go bump, 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 bump. And we thought maybe he has heart arrhythmia, and he also has pneumonia. And it's not the heart arrhythmia causing the pneumonia, but it's just both heart arrhythmia and pneumonia, in which case treat the pneumonia with the antibiotics, treat the lung fluid also with the antibiotics if he has it caused by the heart arrhythmia, in which case, if that is the case, then his lungs are going to keep filling up with fluid, unless he has a miracle like raw food, which I think a lot of people will be incredulous to that. But if he's not getting better soon, then we can take him back to the vet tonight and get him euthanized. But he's doing a lot better than he was. His lungs are full of fluid, and he's doing a lot better than he was earlier today. And I will go there and say it. When we left the vet, there was like maybe five or between 5 and 10 cars that all honked their horns. I'll just go ahead and say that. And, well, I wish they would have gave us the death juice and said, just go home with them and keep the IV in, because they were going to keep the IV in him and give him a cone. And it would have been nice to say, you guys can just inject him whenever you want. Do it at home and don't stress him out. But I already cried. I started crying, convulsive crying. And then I was like, yeah, just give him the death juice if that's what he needs. But also, maybe this will drain his lungs and then he can have some time. I don't know how to make raw food diet for cats, but I'm sure someone does. I'm sure there's people out there who say this is how you do it. And I bet that would help his heart disease. And the other thing is he's 16. He's like we're guessing how old he is, but we're guessing he's 16. And then we got Stu over here just eating all Todd's food, even though Todd is not so well. Stu doesn't care. Stu is a bad cat. But you can see his breathing's not that forced anymore. But you'd have to wonder, there was a time where he stuck his tongue out at me, it looked like. This is one of those kind of weird things that you might have to be a true animal lover to think something like that. That you'd say, the cat is actually trying to tell me something. And it's not that he's sticking his tongue out because he's stoned and he's effed up. But he's actually looking at me and he's opening his mouth, distinctly communicating something at me. That, look, I'm trying to show you something's wrong. And I wonder if he's had fluid in his lungs for a long time, which is causing him constant pain. And only tonight it's obvious enough that to take him to the vet. And if he's in constant pain all the time, he still chases Stu. He still loves eating. He's still Garfield in that sense. He's always going to move quicker to the kitchen to get food. He's always wanting to cuddle. And you might wonder if his cuddling is an attempt to be comforted, if he's asking for help. And maybe it doesn't have to get so bad that he's actually panting with his mouth open to put him down. And then the other thing is, if you eat raw food, you'll die of old age. And if you eat cooked food, you'll die of disease. And if you eat cooked food, the way you'll die of disease is a heart attack. And that's just the plain truth of it. And so what if I just go to the butcher and find some formula and just make him raw food, and that could help his heart disease? Because his kidneys are only half failed. And so that would mean that he still has another like a good lifespan left. But I don't want him to suffer. And again, I don't care about his suffering, except for his suffocation, because that really bothers me for some reason, and I don't know why. There's any amount of pain he could go through and it wouldn't bother me. But if it suffocates, I really don't like that. I don't want him to do that. So, yeah, anyway, hopefully this shot will clear him up in the next, in the next little while. The vet was really great. Really great vet.